Hello photographers, it's Ben from TAFE. I'm going to give you a little run through of some of the things we've talked about in Photoshop in the last week. It's a little bit more, we're getting into that selective color, and that's dealing with adjustment layers, duplicating layers, then layer masks, things like that, okay? These aren't easy things to get your head around at first. They're certainly not easy things to get around. You get your head around if you only do them an hour a week. So I'm going to encourage you guys to practice this stuff as much as you can. If you've got Photoshop at home, awesome. If you don't stress. We can talk about ways that you might like to get a hold of a copy. Also remember that LearnSpace at TAFE is chock-a-block full of computers that have Photoshop on them. We've also got 2 computer labs up here. We've got the one you guys spend your mornings in and your afternoons in, and the lab next door. So there's always a computer that is there for you to use, okay? You can always get access to Photoshop, and therefore you've always got time to practice with it. Alright, cool. So here I am. I'm starting off my photo journey in Bridge, and that is fine. And I've been looking through a couple of photos on my desktop, and I want to do a selective color thing with this little bit of cake because it is 10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. I'm starting to feel like morning tea. Okay. So to fire a Photoshop, double click on our photo, and Photoshop is going to fire up. Alright, we are in Photoshop, and I've pressed F just so I can get a nice look at the image. Alright, and I'm going to go, of course you notice I'm on a Mac at the minute, so my keyboard shortcut's going to be a little bit different, but I'm going to just try and remember the PC ones and talk to you about them. So I'm going to make this image full screen, which is Control 0, and which is handy. It's a nice button because it's right next to the Control plus or minus thing, so I can zoom in, zoom out. Yeah, alright, Control 0 fills the screen. Alright, now like I said in Photoshop, there's a billion different ways to do everything. I'm going to show you one way. You might have your own way. As long as we get to the same result, I'm happy. Okay? So first thing I want to make sure I've got visible is my layers panel here. If yours isn't visible, you can bring it up by going to Window, Layers, and the ones that are visible will be ticked. Alright, first thing I want to do is I want to make a couple of copies of this image, as in a couple of layers. And layers are exactly how you think they are. They stack on top of one another. So, many different ways to duplicate a layer. I'm just going to show you one now. I'm going to right click on my layer in the layer palette, and I'm going to choose the duplicate layer option. It's going to give me a chance to rename this now, and I'm going to call this one black, white. Okay? Now, here's how layers work in a nutshell. Alright, this is the one that's on the bottom, and this is the one that's on top. At the moment I can only see the one on top because it's, on top of the one on the bottom. If I want to see through to the one on the bottom, I will turn this eye off and I will see through. Of course, because they're exact duplicates, I can't really see the difference, but trust me, I am now looking at the bottom one, I am now looking at the top one. If we turn both these off, we're looking at nothing, okay? Alright, so I'm going to turn this one to black and white. Now, we can do this a bunch of different ways. We can add a black and white adjustment to it, and that's going to add an adjustment layer. It's not actually going to change this layer, it's going to float like a black and white filter over the top of it. Imagine putting sunglasses on your eyes. All of a sudden, everything looks shadier. but your eyes actually haven't changed. Yeah, that's not what's going on here. So to make your black and white, you can mess around with all these things until it starts to look cool. Oh, that kind of looks cool. Happy with that? Cool. Let's just close that one off there. Alright, go away. Alright, cool. So this adjustment is applied to this layer. If I turn this layer off, the bottom layer is now black and white because this one is still active. Okay? If I turn this off, I don't see any black and white because I don't have a layer on underneath. Okay? So what we can do here is we can now tell the computer to let some color through, and the way we do that is with this layer mask. Okay, now a mask is a mask. If I put a mask on something, if I put a mask on my face, you can't see my face. Okay, you can see the bits of my face around the mask, but you can't see the bits of my face that the mask covers. Same goes for Photoshop, but the language that Photoshop talks about masks is black and white. And if you paint black on a layer mask, that means you're going to conceal what's under that black. And if you paint white, you're going to show everything through, okay? So this is a black and white layer mask, and it is completely white. So therefore we are seeing all the black and white. It is all on display. It is all white, so we can all see it. White is kind of like Photoshop's code for invisible, okay? There's no mask if everything's white. So, how do I put some black down to start blocking some color? Well, I'm going to move over to my color picker here, and I'm just going to toggle to black. If you find your colors are different here, that's fine. You can find a true white up here and a true black down there, and you can set your own colors. Now, I want to find a paintbrush, and it looks like that, or I can press B on my keyboard. To change your brush size, you can mess around with all these things in here, but I prefer to use the square brackets on my keyboard because I can see it grow in and out. Okay? So now I am painting black onto the layer mask, not onto the layer itself. And remembering that this layer mask is effectively talking about this adjustment layer. Okay, so what I'm saying is where I put black down on this mask here, I want you to block this adjustment. Okay, and because that adjustment is all about the black and white, it's saying, you're effectively saying, Photoshop, block my black and white adjustment and let the color shine on through. Alright, so this is where you want to spend a lot of time doing this. You want to take your time, you want to give it a really sweet job. And some of the ways you can do that is remembering if we go Control plus and zoom in, hold the space bar and drag with the click and drag with the mouse, we can get a much nicer view in there. You're likely going to find that when you first start working and painting with your mouse in Photoshop, that you feel a bit clumsy. That's fine. I still feel that way, especially if I'm really tired. Things like that. I fatigue. I've been doing this for a long time, so my threshold for fatigue's a little bit higher. But the only way I got it there was by just doing this a lot. So if you got the laptop in front of the telly or you got the computer on while the radio's playing, just mess around and paint and try and get your brush, your fingers to move the mouse where you want your brush to go. Okay, it's like learning how to paint. Well, I can't speak for that because I'm a terrible painter. Brenton would have a fit if he saw how badly I painted. But, okay, now, I've coloured outside the lines here, and that's not appealing. It looks obviously like a mistake. The rest of this is coming along pretty nicely. Does this mistake mean I have to start over again? No. What it means is we need to flip onto white ink and paint over our mistakes. So remember, white lets through the... So I've blocked the black and white adjustment here in error. If I paint back with white, it's going to bring it back. So black blocks, white takes away. Gives back again. Yeah. There we go. Coming along. Now, I'll switch back to black. And I am good to go again. Oh yeah. Who's hungry? Missed a bit in there. I'm going to speed this up because I want to get this done before. So if you want to do a big area really quickly, drag your brush size out a bit, make it a bit bigger. If you need to get in these small bits, like for these crumbs, I would make it nice and small and just very carefully get in there. Okay. I think this was fig cake. Is fig cake a thing? Alright. Of course, I find photoshopping with my tongue hanging out a little makes me concentrate better. Yeah. Alright, now like I said, I've had a bit of practice with this, so this will hopefully only take me about 5-10 minutes. This sort of job for your first time might take you half an hour, might take you an hour. You'll get faster the more you do it. Alright, remember with this video, you can stop and start it, you can re-watch bits. If you've forgotten how that adjustment layer happened, you can bring it back. The fun thing about Photoshop and the tricky thing is that there is so many different ways to do it. And that's cool because it accommodates people with different sort of styles. And if one logic doesn't sort of suit you, you can attack the problem in a different way that makes sense to you. So even after you've watched this video 3 or 4 times, if you still find that I'm talking gibberish, come see me. We'll work out another way for you to get the job done. Okay? And if you still don't like it, we can... Sorry, I got someone coming. But if you still don't like it, we can... Yeah, I'll come in a sec, Paula. Sorry. If you still don't... Sorry for the interruption. If you still don't like the way I've taught you, we can get you on YouTube and we can find someone who does engage with you with this particular technique. I think this way will work. And I just encourage you to keep playing with it and playing with it. Remember, what we're doing is we're making a duplicate of your layer. We're applying an adjustment layer, which is the black and white thing, and then we're masking out the area that we don't want the black and white to show through. Okay, that's selective color. It's a heck of a lot of fun, and I really, really encourage you to practice, 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 because with practice, all this stuff becomes a lot easier. All right, really nice work, guys. Your progress is coming along in leaps and bounds, and remember, you're only 3 weeks into learning the hardest program you'll ever learn in your life. Yeah, so you're doing a real good job. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Bye.